What is junk volume? Why is your progress so slow? It's because you have too much junk volume. Junk volume doesn't refer to a specific action, but rather the amount of training that doesn't contribute to muscle and strength growth. Today, let's understand junk volume from 3 aspects. The first point is excessive sets. Suppose you're training your chest with flat dumbbell presses using an 8 to 12 RM rep range. This exercise itself is excellent for stimulating the chest, so you push through multiple sets, hoping to see tenfold muscle growth. However, even the best exercises will lose their effectiveness as fatigue sets in, turning the last few sets into junk volume. In 2017, a research team led by James Krieger analyzed data from 9 independent studies on the impact of training volume on hypertrophy. They found that approximately 6 to 8 sets per muscle group per day resulted in the most noticeable growth. Beyond this number, the benefits diminish and may even regress. Of course, this 6 to 8 sets is an average value. Some genetically gifted individuals might require more, around 10 to 12 sets, but for most people, 6 to 8 sets per muscle group per day is the upper limit, not the starting point. Extra training volume only increases fatigue and prolongs recovery time. Moreover, if you train to failure in each set, your upper limit will be even lower. It's also best not to concentrate these 6 to 8 sets in a single exercise. For example, you can do 3 sets of flat dumbbell presses, 3 sets of inclined barbell presses, and 3 sets of dips. This would sufficiently stimulate the chest. The remaining time can be used to train other body parts. If you find these sets insufficient for your muscle growth needs, it's better to spread them out over the week. This is why natural bodybuilders are advised to use upper-lower splits or 3-day splits. With a 5-day split, you would need more sets to stimulate the muscles. In reality, by the 2nd or 3rd exercise, you're already fatigued, and the additional exercises only undermine your efforts. You don't need as much training volume as you might think. The biggest mistake in natural bodybuilding is imagining yourself as Iron Man, comparing yourself to gods with a mortal body. Additionally, techniques like drop sets and sets with over 30 reps are also considered junk volume. Such training demands a significant recovery but doesn't stimulate muscle growth. It will make your target muscles extremely sore and reduce your performance in subsequent workouts. Despite seeming like you're working harder, the signals received by the muscles are quite different, so focus on progressive overload instead. In the last video, we discussed how many sets a muscle group should train per week. This time, we're looking at how many sets per session. I hope this helps you in planning your workouts. How many sets should each muscle group train per week? Many people believe that the more they train, the bigger their muscles will grow. Spending 2 to 3 hours in the gym doing 7 to 8 exercises and accumulating 20 to 30 sets in a day. Is this really effective? In 2017, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld conducted a study comparing the effects of 1 to 5 sets, 5 to 9 sets, and more than 10 sets per muscle group per week on hypertrophy. The results showed that training each muscle group more than 10 sets per week had the best effect on muscle growth. Once this study was published, high-intensity, multi-set programs became mainstream, leading to a belief system that intensity determines everything, which spread internationally over the years. However, a study in 2022 found that there is a limit to the effective number of sets per muscle group. The researchers compared low volume, less than 12 sets per week, medium volume, 12 to 20 sets per week, and high volume, more than 20 sets per week, all using a rep range of 6 to 20. They found no difference in hypertrophy between the medium, 12 to 20 sets, and high, over 20 sets volumes. The only exception was the triceps, which responded better to higher training volumes. In general, more intense training does not lead to more muscle growth and can even hinder it due to fatigue and recovery issues. The optimal range seems to be between 10 to 20 sets. It's important to note that the number of sets refers to the total number of sets for an entire muscle group, not individual exercises. For example, the chest should have about 10 sets per week, not 10 sets each for the upper, middle, and lower chest. However, there's a significant difference between 10 sets and 20 sets, so you need to determine the optimal number for yourself. The most important factor is your own experience. Research results are based on averages, but individual responses can vary greatly. Some people respond well to low volume, while others need more sets to see growth. For instance, a 2019 study in the Journal of Sports Science recruited 19 participants who trained one leg with 6 to 9 sets per week and the other leg with 15 sets per week for 8 weeks. The results varied. Some responded better to low volume, others to high volume, and some saw equal growth in both legs. Additionally, training frequency and rest periods between sets also determine the number of sets. If you can train the same muscle twice or thrice a week, you can distribute the sets accordingly, like dividing 20 sets into 2 days for higher quality workouts. But if you follow a 5-day split routine, trying to do 20 sets in one session often leads to overtraining, as fatigue sets in around the 8th set, reducing the quality of subsequent sets. Rest intervals between sets are also crucial. Longer rest periods mean you can perform more reps in the next set, effectively increasing volume. Shorter rest periods require more sets to achieve the same stimulus, which is not advisable. It's recommended to rest 2 to 5 minutes between sets. Finally, the triceps' better response to higher training volumes is because any pushing exercise counts as a set for the triceps. For example, during a bench press, both the chest and triceps are engaged, so it counts as a set for each. The same applies to the front and rear delts, which are also involved in many pushing and pulling exercises. Understanding these principles can help you plan your workouts more scientifically and effectively, avoiding the blind overtraining of your muscles and nerves. Gradually adjusting the number of sets will help you find the most efficient training method for yourself. How long should you wait before training the same muscle again? Do you really have to wait until the soreness completely disappears? Everyone knows that training stimulates the muscles and the body's repair system overcompensates to adapt to this stress. The traditional belief is that this repair process takes at least 48 to 72 hours. Additionally, muscle soreness over the next few days can reduce your performance. So it's believed that muscles need enough recovery time to become bigger and stronger. But is this really true? In 2018, a study published in the journal Frontiers in Physiology recruited 30 trained men from Singapore and divided them into a 24-hour group and a 48 to 72-hour group. Both groups used the same exercises, training 3 times a week for 12 weeks. The second group adjusted rest times based on muscle recovery, either 48 or 72 hours, while the first group rested only 24 hours between workouts. Both groups had similar diets. Ultimately, both groups showed the same gains in strength and muscle mass. Therefore, the results did not prove that you must wait 48 to 72 hours before training the same muscle again. A second study in 2019 by R.F. Ellis Saroni recruited 177 trained men and divided them into 2 groups. The first group used a 5-day split, training each muscle group once a week over 5 days. The second group used a full body routine, training every muscle group every day for 5 days. Both groups had the same total training volume and sets. The conclusion was that bench press and rowing strength gains were similar, but squat strength gains were significantly higher in the full body group. Additionally, hypertrophy of the triceps, biceps, and vastus lateralis was also greater in the full body group. Neither study showed that resting for 48 to 72 hours yields more benefits. Therefore, it's clear that overcompensation recovery is a very complex mechanism involving multiple factors. It's logical to wait for soreness to subside before the next workout, but this does not mean that muscle overcompensation happens the day soreness disappears. Additionally, the duration of post-training soreness depends on your training plan, the difficulty of the exercises, and the degree of adaptation. As muscles adapt to certain stimuli, soreness duration decreases. Moreover, our bodies have a powerful adaptive mechanism. If you stimulate the same muscle intensely over many days, your body gradually accelerates the recovery time. For example, boxers practice punching and shadow boxing daily. Despite only having a few hours of recovery time, their strength and explosiveness can still steadily increase. Understanding this, you can flexibly arrange your training plan without waiting 48 to 72 hours. For example, if you want to quickly increase the size of your arms to over 40 centimeters or make your shoulders look bigger and wider, you can increase their training frequency. Is training to complete failure really that important? Many people believe that training to failure means putting in the maximum effort, which should also bring the best results. However, a 2019 study published in the top academic journal Frontiers in Physiology in Switzerland refuted this theory. In this study, 15 trained men were divided into 2 different training groups, each training 3 times a week for 10 weeks. The first group was the non-failure group, performing 3 sets of 10 reps for each exercise, ensuring intensity and volume without training to failure. The second group was the failure group, performing sets within the 8 to 12 rep range, ensuring they reached complete failure on the last rep. If they couldn't complete at least 8 reps in a set, they would reduce the weight in the next set. Both groups had a similar total workload. The conclusion was that the non-failure group had greater growth in both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, including a larger increase in single fiber anatomical cross-sectional area compared to the failure group. Clearly, non-failure training can lead to better hypertrophy. Why does this happen? Researchers believe this difference is due to the failure group experiencing insufficient recovery rather than insufficient stimulation. They cited previous research indicating that training to failure can prolong muscle and neural fatigue for up to 24 to 48 hours post-exercise. Simply put, training to failure slows down your recovery ability, ultimately reducing your overall workload. In such cases, you have to delay your next training session to the 2nd or 3rd day. Additionally, after reaching failure in one set, you'll noticeably feel a decrease in the number of reps you can perform in the next set. Sometimes you might have to lower the weight to complete 8 to 12 reps, reducing the overall tension applied to the muscles. This has no benefits in terms of training volume or frequency. Another point is that training to failure increases your risk of injury. In multi-joint exercises, failure often leads to form breakdown, especially in heavy lifts like deadlifts, which can be particularly dangerous. What we should do is stop 1-2 reps short of failure, varying based on the weight. For example, with a 12 RM weight, leave 2 reps in the tank, and with 4 to 8 RM, leave 1 rep. However, many people underestimate their reps to failure. For instance, if you can do 10 reps of a 100 kilogram bench press but stop at 4 to 5 reps due to underestimating your ability, it defeats the purpose. The best advice is to go to near failure only on the last set of each exercise to determine your true rep limit. Remember, don't let your training partner assist you with forced reps. They should only spot you when you're in danger. By now, you should realize that training to failure has minimal benefits. Your total volume and training frequency are the key factors that truly help with muscle growth.